SCO, the North Star in geopolitics for peace, progress, and cooperation. We are living in complex times of great triumph and turbulence. On one hand, hundreds of millions of people in developing nations such as India and China have been enjoying unprecedented prosperity, increasing life expectancy, and decades of peace. On the other hand, dark clouds of geopolitical conflicts are threatening to derail the recent achievements of humanity. Think of Russia-Ukraine war, Pakistan-India war, and Iran-Israel war. The doomsday clock is closer to midnight, meaning a nuclear catastrophe, than ever before. Thus, the world is in desperate need for a novel imagination of geopolitics, and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or SCO, not only provides a visionary and strategic framework for Asia, but can be an inspiration for the emerging multipolar world. What is SCO? It is the world's largest regional organization, accounting for 80% of Eurasia's land and 40% of the world population. The 10 members include India, China, Russia, the 4 STAN countries from Central Asia, Pakistan, Iran, and Belarus. There are also 14 dialogue partners and 2 observer nations. The history of SCO is fascinating. It started with the Shanghai Five, which was created in 1996 to resolve the border issues between China and its 4 former Soviet states. The China-Russia border alone is around 4,000 kilometers long, and China shares 3,000 kilometers of borders with Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan. The Shanghai Group's ambitions were initially modest, confined to confidence-building tasks such as settling and demilitarizing the official borders. The geopolitical fact is that borders are often the most difficult problems to resolve. However, within 5 years, the Shanghai Five had finalized their borders. Encouraged by this impressive achievement, the group decided to expand their strategic goals and membership, and thus created the SCO in 2001 with specific focus on terrorism, separatism, and extremism. Curiously, SCO was created just a few months before the 9/11 attacks, demonstrating that the members fully understood the geopolitical challenges. As years passed by, SCO transformed from a narrow forum of security dialogue into a multilateral powerhouse that focuses on a plethora of vital issues such as economy, trade, energy, infrastructure, connectivity, technology, tourism, cultural exchanges, and more. Looking back, one of the most important accomplishments of SCO was to stabilize the countries in Central Asia: Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan. If you play chess, you would know that the most strategic area is the center of the chessboard. Similarly, if you look at the map of the SCO, what do you find in the center? Central Asia. What makes SCO unique and admirable is that it's not based on divisive geopolitics. It has a non-aligned status, meaning it's not anti-West or anti-anything. It adheres to the so-called Shanghai spirit, which includes universal principles such as mutual benefit, common development, and respect for cultural diversity. Although SCO is based out of Shanghai, it operates on the principles of equality and consensus, unlike many other international organizations which are clearly led by and dominated by the US. Furthermore, despite the accusations by some Western media, SCO is not a military alliance. It is not an Asian NATO, although hypocritically, NATO is trying to extend its tentacles into Asia. SCO does not have the concept of collective defense similar to NATO's Article 5. And while the US bullies NATO members into spending more on defense, especially on American weapons, SCO members are not subjected to any such coercion or pressure. Finally, what makes SCO unique and admirable is that it's not based on divisive geopolitics or wars. Consider NATO, which is really an extension of the American empire. When NATO was founded, its General Secretary Lord Ismay famously said that NATO's purpose was to keep the Russians out, the Americans in, and the Germans down. That warmongering philosophy is still the bedrock principle of NATO. If Russia and Europe were to have win-win relations, NATO would become irrelevant. In summary, the NATO model is neither desirable nor sustainable. We don't need endless wars. We need a new and holistic paradigm of cooperation, progress, and development. Looking at the big picture, there are tectonic shifts underway in geopolitics and geoeconomics. 500 years of Western domination is coming to an end, and the center of gravity of the world's GDP has shifted significantly in the last 30 years. In terms of GDP measured by purchasing power parity, or PPP, SCO is already larger than G7. China is already larger than the US, and the developing nations are larger than developed nations. According to the IMF, China and India will account for 40% of the global economic growth over the next 5 years. Asia is already the global leader in trade, manufacturing, including high-end sectors such as semiconductors, research, patents, IPO, etc. Thus, it's no wonder that many experts predict that this will be an Asian century. If Europe is smart, it would free itself from American domination and join in to create the Eurasian century. However, there's much more work to do in Asia in terms of poverty alleviation, education, healthcare, infrastructure, jobs, wages, and much more. Thus, SCO members need to stay humble and focused. Over the next couple of decades, we will witness an inexorable multipolarity in which Asia, Europe, and North America will emerge as the three major poles of the world. In such an environment of distributed power, we need to rethink geopolitics. Gone are the days of Darwinian and ruthless diktat that says, if you're not at the table, you are on the menu. The North Star for the new international order should be the foundational principles of SCO: equality, mutual respect, sustainable development, win-win cooperation, mutual respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity, non-aggression, non-interference, security, stability, just peace, and appreciation for true diversity in civilizations. Thank you.